Almost exactly a year ago to the day on this channel, I posted my first ever video all about my intent to glow up for 2020. I was 38 years old at the time, and the catalyst for this video was going on my first ever date in almost 9 years. The date predictably went terribly, to absolutely no one's surprise. And it really prompted a whole bunch of soul searching for me about where I was in my life, what I was doing, what I looked like, where I was going, and I decided to spend 2020 glowing up. Now, this date that I went on, the fact it was an absolute unmitigated disaster was not his fault. I should be clear about that. It was mine. You know, I was rusty. I hadn't been on a date in years. I was nervous. I was haggard looking. I was ugly. I'm not even going to debate that. I mean, compared to the way I used to look in my 20s, I looked ugly. I was overweight. I had no confidence. I had a job that to a certain extent I was somewhat ashamed of, particularly in terms of my finances. I had virtually no social life. I was an introvert. I was shy. I was awkward. I was anxious. You know, I was living in a brand new city at the time that I had moved to after breaking up with my ex of 7+ years. I was tired all the time. I had virtually no friends because I was living in a new city, and just, you know, just all of this, just everything, just smooshed down into this situation that really brought it all to light for me. And, you know, I'm sitting across from this guy who is, you know, everything in theory that I would want in a person. You know, he has the same lifestyle as me, the same diet. You know, he's hot, he's successful, he's a doctor. He has just bought his own farm, and I am just sitting there thinking, wow, I just feel like a complete failure. I look like a complete failure. My finances are a complete failure. My relationships are a complete failure. My, you know, attempts at developing any kind of a meaningful community around me are a complete failure. My friendships are non-existent. I have no future. And I walked away from that date just feeling like absolute crud. I felt completely worthless. I felt worthless in his eyes. I felt worthless in the eyes of everyone around me on the planet. And I felt worthless to myself. And that date was really the catalyst for starting this channel. And my plan had been to spend the whole of 2020 and a little bit of 2021, 365 days from beginning of February, glowing up. I'm referring to my notes here, sorry if I'm looking down. Little did I know. Yeah, little did I know. So the date was this big catalyst for me to start this channel. The realization dawned on me that I really need to glow up. You know, not just in terms of my looks. My looks are absolutely dire. I mean, still, you can tell. I don't look great. I've never looked great. And as I've gotten older, I increasingly don't look great. You know, but also, you know, my intent was in 2020 to glow up in terms of my health, you know, in terms of my mental state, in terms of my relationships, in terms of my friendships, my community, my job, my finances, just everything. And so things were going well for, I want to say, 3 weeks. And then 2020 here. And when I say 2020, I think we all know what I mean, 2020. And it was comical, frankly. I mean, you could not have timed it better. I post this video and my goals are all, you know, I'm gonna go to the hairdressers and get like a really cute hairstyle. I'm gonna have my hair dyed professionally, and I'm gonna go get some Botox for the first time, and I'm gonna join the gym, and I'm gonna go start doing yoga at the yoga studio, and I'm gonna be more social. Sorry, I'm gonna cut that. Yeah. Oh, my favorite, I'm gonna find a less stressful healthcare job. Yeah. It's just farcical. The whole thing was just, frankly, farcical. And suffice to say, my 2020 glow up year did not go so well. And this is the result. If you go back and watch my first ever video, I think I only have 3 videos on my channel, so it's not difficult to find. If you go back and watch that video, even just watch 20 seconds of that video, it will become apparent that I don't look any different. I'm still anxious, I'm still nervous, I'm still like socially inept, I still don't know how to talk to a camera, I still have terrible hair, I still look really haggard, I've still got bags under my eyes, I've still got frown lines, I just, you know, just everything. A year after posting that video, here's the facts. I'm heavier than ever, I'm more stressed out than ever, I'm lonelier than ever. My mental health is in the toilet more than ever. My eating and exercise habits are worse than ever. My hygiene is worse than ever, oral, bodily, sleep, mental. I'm working more than ever. I went from working in a skilled step-down nursing unit to working in a high-ops ICU. And I work currently with both recovering and active 2020 patients. For that, you can read into that what you will. My work-life balance is virtually non-existent, and, you know, let's not forget the fact I haven't had sex all year because I work in healthcare, and with the current situation, that's just impossible. It's impossible to work in healthcare and really enter into, you know, any kind of anything with anyone safely and then show up to work the next day for your patients. So frankly, 2020 was really not the year of the glow up, but the year of the anti-glow up. And again, it's all I can really do is laugh. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do apart from just laugh at my even remote attempts at doing this. So, you know, that's what 2020 wasn't for me. I've had quite a few people actually message me and ask me, where have you been all year? You know, you said you were going to do this channel and I'm waiting for updates and I haven't seen anything. So you just very briefly, in 60 seconds or less, I'm going to just throw out there, you know, what actually happened in 2020, okay? And I have just a page of notes here because I don't want to forget anything. But essentially, my 2020 went as follows. And this is the reason that nothing has happened. So for the first 7 months of 2020, from January until July, I want to say, I was working on a skilled nursing acute rehabilitation floor. And it was essentially a step-down hospital unit. So people, when they come out of hospital, but they're not ready to go home, they need way more care. Whether that's they have a tracheostomy, they're still on a feeding tube, they still have an IV, they are there for OT, PT, speech therapy. They, you know, would come to our facility. And that was the patient population that I worked with. And that was where I was working when 2020 hit. And it was absolutely exhausting and it was absolutely terrifying. You know, I don't want to get into this video being about that, but just suffice to say, you know, I was at work with no adequate PPE. I was doing twice the work that I would normally be doing. And I don't say that to be melodramatic, I was literally often doing twice the work that I should have been doing because we were short-staffed all the time, all the time. School was out, school was cancelled here in Oregon, and so a lot of our nursing staff, you know, whether it be nurses, CNAs, you know, cleaners, whoever, you know, I had to scramble to find childcare, and if they couldn't find childcare, they couldn't come in. And, you know, as a result, we were just short-staffed. We were just short-staffed all the time. I worked at a place that was unionized, which in general is not a bad thing, but one of the downsides of being in a unionized position is at my particular facility, we would have to stay, we were mandated to stay an extra 4 hours if our relief didn't show up at the end of our shift. And so my 8-hour shifts would often stretch into 12 hours. I pulled a lot of double 16-hour shifts. I picked up a ton of extra shifts because they were just so short-staffed all the time. And I was just tired, so tired, and so worried all the time, worried about my patients, worried about me, you know, not able to do anything. I would see groups of people going hiking and I had to go hike by myself. You know, I did everything alone because, well, firstly, everything was really cancelled. I mean, you know, I joined all these meetup groups with the hope of meeting new people, and all of that was immediately cancelled, as it should have been. You know, it was really difficult to make new friends. All of the bars and pubs and restaurants and things were closed and only doing takeout, and I was so lonely, and I was so overworked, and I was so tired, and I was so depressed. And it all came to a head in July of 2020, and I had just had enough. I'd had enough. And I basically handed in my notice. I bought a van. I had wanted to own a van. I've never owned a vehicle before. I come from Europe, where it's quite common to not own a vehicle into your 30s because we have such good public transit and people walk and bike and whatnot. But I really wanted to buy a van to do some traveling in and be able to get to trailheads for hiking and stuff. So July 2020, I handed in my notice at work. I had saved up enough money through all of this overtime to purchase a van, and I purchased a small van with cash. I was gone from my job 30 days later. I gave them 30 days notice just to be, you know, polite. And then I moved out of my cruddy 200 square foot god-awful apartment that had no kitchen and just creepy ass neighbors, and I moved into my van. And for 4 months I lived in my van. So from August to just, well, actually over 4 months, because it was, let's think, August, September, October, November, I can't do math. Yeah, 4 months. I'm thinking about this now. About 4.5 months I lived in my van. So basically for the first 7 months of 2020, I was living in this tiny studio apartment, working at this just very stressful job in the middle of a 2020. And then I moved into my van, and I did some traveling for 2 months, very socially responsible traveling. I mostly stuck to public lands. I was by myself. I went hiking on trails where I didn't see another soul. I would sleep in my van at night. The only time I would eat would be to go to takeout restaurants. You know, like everyone was doing, I would make sure to sanitize my hands. I always wore a mask. And I did some traveling around Idaho and around Oregon. And it was just such a much needed break from just working in healthcare this year. I don't know what I would have done without it. I was just so desperate for a break. And then in October of 2020, I got hired on at the hospital where I currently work. So I work on the ICU floor, and I continued living in my van until December. So basically the whole of November and the whole of December, I was living in my van in Portland, Oregon, which is where I live. And that was extremely stressful for very different reasons. No access to showers, no access to toilets, no access to a kitchen, you know, just things like that. and I made it work, but it was very challenging. And I actually plan on doing a video about that because I think it's an interesting topic. But at the end of December 2020, I had more than enough money saved up to finally rent an apartment again. And you know, renting an apartment is expensive if you don't know. You know, you've got rent. Oftentimes it's first months and last months, and then you need your security deposit, and then, you know, you might have to pay a pet deposit, and then you know, parking, and then you know, just everything. And so it took me a while to save up enough money for that, and I applied shortly before Christmas and was accepted, and I moved into my current apartment I think 2 days after Christmas, which was frankly the best Christmas present I could have asked for. Just this little apartment all to myself. You know, I don't have to share it with like an ex. You know, I don't have, well, yet, you know, creepy neighbors like staring in my windows or anything. I don't know. It's just really nice. I have a shower. Oh. You know, I have a toilet. I have a sink. Oh, I have a cooker. You know, just all the things that you take for granted until you live in a van. Yeah, I've just been really enjoying living in my apartment, and living in an apartment again has given me the opportunity and the space to start recording some videos again. And the reason I mention the fact that I have moved into this apartment is I think it really has been a catalyst for me wanting to restart this channel again. So I know that I have been MIA for essentially 11 months, I think, but I'm back. And what I figured is we would just restart from the beginning here. I'm just gonna say February 1st, I'm gonna go ahead and say is day 1 of day 365. And we're just gonna start again and give it some welly. And, you know, just get going with this. I turned 40 this year, 40. I still feel like I'm 17, but I'm gonna be 40 this year. And nothing has changed in my life over the past year, apart from the fact I'm more tired, I'm more haggard. Okay, I bought a van. One good thing happened. I bought a van and did some traveling, but for the most part, you know, like I say, I'm still lonely, I'm still depressed, I'm still overweight, I'm still not eating great, I still don't have that many friends, I still look like crap. And, you know, I'm really, really, really motivated to work on as much of that as I can feasibly do this year, whilst also holding down a full-time job in the ICU in the middle of what is essentially 2020 part 2. So yeah, we're gonna start again, and my goal ultimately would just be to like throw a bunch of money at it and have it just be done. But I don't earn that much money. I'm kind of poor, and so my plan is really just to chip away at this, you know, as much as I can and as frequently as I can over the next 365 days. I have a little list here of things that I want to work on. I think I've mentioned most of this already, but in no particular order. I've got here my weight, my diet, my mental health, my insomnia, my finances, my stress levels, my social connections, my sex life, my lack of travel, and then the big one is my appearance. My appearance, it seems like it should be the last thing on the list, but I feel like it is the thing that upsets me the most. I'm very upset at the way I look a lot of the time. I just look haggard. You know, I look haggard. I have scowl lines and under eye hollows, and my face is kind of puffy, and everything's kind of sagging, and my hair is terrible, and I don't like my appearance, and I've never really done anything about that, and this is the year I would like to do something about that. So yeah, it is superficial, but hey, you know. So this is way longer than I anticipated, but this is just to say hello, welcome back. It's been a year, it's been a long year. I'm ready to put 2020 behind me and move on. And everyone says that, but I think until you've worked in healthcare, you really don't know what it really has been a hard year. I'm gonna like bite my tongue, but it's been a hard year, and I'm ready to move on to 2021 and to hopefully new things. So to those of you that watched all my previous videos, thank you. I'm back and I will be posting again sporadically. I do have a full-time job, but I will be posting sporadically, but as often as I can over the coming 365 days, documenting this, what really does feel like a journey. I think that word is horribly overused, but to me it really does feel like a journey. So thank you for watching and stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.